Hello, everyone. My name's Rusty. I'm your local laboratory maniac. And do I have a video for you today? This video I'm actually pretty excited about. It's one of the reasons I actually decided to make this channel, and that's why I'm making it one of my first videos. It's a video about 5 decks that I have in paper that I've used, I've built, I've play tested. And what I'm going to do in this video is go over them, go over the general themes, and then you can take those themes, you can use them for yourself, you can build decks with them. Now, I'm not the type of guy that will give you a deck list and you just copy and paste it. Part of EDH and what makes it great is the deck building process. It lets you get to know your deck. It makes you a better player with that deck. So, without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump into it here. Our first deck here is based around basic land types. Now, I looked at different basic land types, looked at the cards that relate to them. I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking green, forest, but that's not how I went. For this one, I went plains matter. Now, how do you go into that is up to you, but I use Scryfall. I searched plains, clicked mono white, and just read through the cards. What I noticed, there's actually a few cards that care about having a certain number of planes, and you benefit from that. The best one is Emiria, the Sky Ruin. It's a land, not a legendary land. Keep that in mind. It's just a land. It comes in tapped, and at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 7 or more planes, you return one creature from your graveyard to the battlefield, and it taps for a white. But so this is every turn you're bringing something back if you have 7 planes. It's really easy to get the 7 planes in this deck. That's kind of what the whole deck is built around. Is just getting lands in. Now, white actually nowadays is probably the second best color in terms of getting lands out. Green, obviously, the OG, the number one, you can't beat it. But plains does it white does it pretty well. And it's not just all catch up lands, although catch up ramp is actually a huge part of plains ramping. But I don't have a lot of that in here because I'm always going to be ahead of my opponent in terms of lands. So what you want to do is search for get cards in there that search for Emiria because that's going to be your main card. There's a lot of ways to do that in white. You got Expedition Map. It's a 1 mana artifact. Pay 2, sack it, and tap it. Search your library for a land card. Reveal it. Put it in your hand. And then you got an actual land that does something similar. It's Urza's Cave. It's a land. It's subtype Urza's Cave. It taps for a colorless, or you can pay 3, tap it, sack it, search your library for a land, put it on the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle. You got a few more. You got Weathered Wayfinder. Now, this one is a 1 mana creature, a human noble cleric. You pay 1 mana, tap it, search your library for a card, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle. But you can only activate it if your opponent has more lands than you. So this is actually a catch-up ramp. So it's good early game, not so good late game. Recruit of the Guard I also have in here because it actually searches for Weather Finder. Sometimes you can tutor for your tutors. It seems kind of go around, but sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. Here's a few more Plains Matter cards. You got Quarry Colossus. It's 5 colorless, 2 white, creature giant. When it ETBs, put target creature into owner's library just beneath the X top cards of their library, where X is the number of planes they control. Now, if you got this in your graveyard and you're bringing this back every turn, your opponent's going to have a really bad day. It gets around indestructible. It's actually a really good card. It is 7 mana. We have ways to go around that. Most decks, it's not that great, but in this deck, it's pretty fun. Armored Ascension is actually an OG card I used to love to play. It's a 3 colorless, 1 white enchantment aura. You enchant creature, and it gets +1/+1 for each planes you control and has flying. Now, a funny thing is, I actually put this on a Burnished Heart late game because I was done sacking the Burnished Heart. I had plenty of lands, and I was just swinging with a 13/13 Burnished Heart, and the opponents didn't know what to do with that. Now, here's a focus spotlight. I'm going to add a few of these throughout the thing just to highlight a few things. Now, I got Emiria Shepherd here. It's a 5 colorless, 2 white creature angel, as flying and has a landfall ability. Now, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may return target non-land permanent from your graveyard to your hand. And if that's a plains that you're playing, you return that non-land permanent to the battlefield instead. Now, the focus spotlight for this is focus on cards that hit multiple themes in your deck. Now, you can probably tell so far in this deck, there's a couple of themes. There's obviously plains and landfall; those two kind of go together. There's a reanimator effect, a Miria or main card. That's a reanimator effect. And also angels as a sub theme. Angels kind of are really good at reanimating things. And have you noticed Emiria Shepherd is actually an angel in the location of that Emiria land, it lore wise anyway. As Zero Revelant, it doesn't really relate to gameplay per se. It does fit the theme well because it is lore specific. Now, here's actually the commander, Rhea Dawnbringer. She is a 6 colorless, 3 white casting cost. Legendary creature Angel has flying. At the beginning of your upkeep, you return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. It's a 4/6. Now, this creature is almost an exact copy of the land we're focusing on here, except for it doesn't have the plains requirement. It is 9 mana, though, so people are going to look at you square, but it's good late game. This deck really recovers well late game because you've been in the late game. Someone's played a board wipe, sometimes 4 or 5 board wipes. This deck can get around that really well, and sometimes you want your stuff to die just so you can bring them back for ETB effects. And now, when things aren't dying and the board's kind of stale, there are other ways to get stuff in your graveyard with mono white. One is my favorite is discarding. So I got 2 cards here that I threw in the deck. You got Key to the City. It's a 2 mana artifact. You tap it, discard a card. Up to 1 target creature can't be blocked this turn. And that's an okay ability. We're really just going for that discard effect. And then when it becomes untapped, you can pay 2, and if you do, draw a card. So it's some card draw, but really it's a net 0. And then you got Grimoire of the Dead, one of my favorite cards of all time, actually. It's a 4 mana legendary artifact. You pay 1 tap, discard a card, put a study counter on Grimoire of the Dead. And then you can tap this artifact, remove 3 study counters, and sacrifice it. Put all creature cards from all graveyards onto the battlefield under your control. They're black zombies in addition to their other colors and types. So it's essentially a Rise from the Dark World, and people will literally sleep on that. They just ignore its existence. They don't take the threat seriously. I have won a game once with this ability. They didn't see it coming, even though it was on the field. Sometimes you'll get players that are more distracted by another threat, and they don't see it coming. Then you got I got a lore tidbit here. I sometimes use lore to help me decide what cards to put in a deck. When you're trying to decide what to cut, what not to cut, sometimes being lore specific is just a more fun way to go. It increases the immersion of the deck, and I'll have a video about immersion and how it relates to gameplay. But I think it's good. So Emiria was the sky god of the core. Those white colored creatures on Zendikar, and also of the merfolk. So there, Emiria was depicted as a female. However, Emiria was the long lost memory of Emrakul, one of the Eldrazi titans. I don't think I need to talk too much about Emrakul. You all kind of know who she is. Okay, moving on to the next one. We got Orzhov Life Switch. Now, what I first did with this deck is I actually had Villas Broker of Blood. He's now in the 99. He was the commander, and I just really like this guy. So he's got 5. He costs 5 colors, 3 black. He's a legend creature demon. He has flying. He has pay a black and 2 life. Target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. And then whenever you lose life, you draw that many cards, and he's an 8/8. So this guy's a beast. What I really like about this guy is in lore, he makes deals. And that brings us to the next lore tidbit. In lore, demons give power and knowledge in exchange for your life. Most black spells represent this by paying life to draw cards. Remember, your library is almost like your mind in Magic. That's why if you completely lose all your library, you lose the game. Liliana's contract represents this well. In lore, she sold her soul to demons to get everlasting life. So Liliana's contracts 3 colors, 2 black enchantment. When it ETBs, draw 4, lose 4 life. And then at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 4 or more demons, you win the game. They have to have different names, of course. And that's another that you're already seeing the themes. You're seeing demons and exchanging that for card draw, life for card draw. And when I went to Orzhov, I actually had Lisa Shroud of Dusk as the commander. It's a 2 colorless, 2 white, 1 black legendary creature angel. Rather than pay 2 for each previous time you've cast this spell from the command zone this game, pay 2 life that many times. Flying lifelink, and whenever a player casts a spell, they lose 2 life, and it's a 5/5. Okay, so Lisa in the lore actually used to make deals with demons on Innistrad in order to help humans. Avacyn didn't like this, so Avacyn straight up just destroyed her. That's where she went for the first set. If you notice, she was not in the first couple sets. She didn't come out to Command Masters. So actually, this character or this card specifically annoys people. They hate paying that 2 life every time they cast something. I found I was the target a lot, so I actually switched. You you always want to pick a commander that fits your theme, but you also want to pick a commander that doesn't draw attention because it can become a 3 versus 1 real fast. So I actually switched to Lotho, Corrupt Sheriff. It's a 1 white, 1 black legendary creature, halfling rogue, and whenever a player casts their first spell each turn, or sorry, their second spell each turn, they lose 1 life and you gain a treasure. So it's mana ramp, which this deck does need more of. However, no one really cares about losing that 1 life for their second spell. Sometimes it doesn't even trigger, so it doesn't make you a target. He's a 2/1, so he's kind of weak, but he doesn't make you the target, which sometimes can be beneficial. Here's one of my favorite pay life to draw cards. It's not the best card in this deck. It's good. It's called Cruel Bargain. It's 3 black mana. Draw 4 cards. You lose half your life rounded up. And in the art's amazing. It's one of those old school arts. A guy's like, hey, sign this paper, sign your life away. And then another card I have is Selena Dark Angel. She's 3 colorless, 1 white, 1 black. She's a legendary creature angel. She has flying, and when you can pay 2 life to return her to your hand, and she's a 3/3. So you can pay 2 life, hold priority, pay another 2 life while she's still on the field, and keep doing that to get your life total however you want. But in the lore, she's also contracted to protect someone, and once the contract's gone, she just leaves. So she's not a nice angel like some angels. I do have a lot of angels in this deck, and it's almost like a unholy trinity because I was having the Lisa as the commander. So there's a lot of angels working with demons in this one. Here's a few life switching cards. There's more, but these ones are kind of interesting. You got Soul Conduit. It's a 6 mana artifact. You pay 6. 2 target players exchange life totals. This is actually a project Jinja Taxis did on New Phyrexia to switch people's souls. But it switches life totals repeatedly, which can be beneficial. It is mana intensive, though. Then you got Axis of Mortality. 4 colorless, 2 white enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may have 2 people exchange life totals. So this is also a repeatable one. And it's also telegraphed, so it's kind of worse. There are sorceries that do it, but I just put these 2 up because I thought they were the most interesting. Now, here's a rules lawyer number 1. Okay, switching life totals is considered life gain and life lost. So if your opponent has 7 life and the other has 40, and you switch their life totals, and you happen to have Erebos God of the Dead on the field, both players' life totals actually become 7. So Erebos God of the Dead is 3 mana, or 3 generic, 1 black. It's a legendary enchantment creature god, indestructible. It's not a creature if your devotion is less than 5. And it says your opponents can't gain life, which is amazing. And then it has a paid 2 mana and 2 life to draw the card, which fits our pay life to draw cards theme. But the main thing is your opponents can't gain life. So if you switch their life totals, you can actually do a lot of damage. And here's some angel related cards. Now, your life total is going to be draining fast. It's going to be close to 0 a lot. So, what you want to do is put cards that make it hard for you to kill, even if you're at 0. So, you got Angel's Grace. It's a 1 mana instant with split second, which means your opponent cannot respond to it by playing spells or activated abilities. And you can't lose the game this turn. Your opponent can't win the game this turn. Until the end of the turn, damage that would reduce your life total to 1 reduces it to 1 instead. Now, this doesn't count life loss, but it does count damage. So if your opponent is swinging into you for lethal, an Angel's Grace is almost a guarantee you're going to survive that battle. And then you have an Angel that does something similar. You got Enduring Angel. It's 2 generic, 3 white, creature angel. It has flying, double strike. You have hexproof, which actually, you have hexproof comes in handy in games a lot. And then if your life total would be reduced to 0 or less, instead transform Enduring Angel and your life total becomes 3. Then if Enduring Angel didn't transform this way, you lose the game. And then she transforms into Angelic Enforcer. It's a flying creature that gives you hexproof still, and its power and toughness equal to your life total. So if you switch your life total when it's low, you can actually make this girl pretty big. And then when she attacks, you double your life total. That life gain is going to be important. And here's just a quick combo. Faceless Haven, it's a snow land. It taps for colorless, but you can pay 3 snow to make it a 4/3 with vigilance and all creature types. Then you got Book of Exalted Deeds. It's a 3 mana, 3 white mana card, legendary artifact. At the beginning of your end step, if you gain 3 or more life this turn, create a 3/3 white angel creature token. And then the most important thing is pay 3, tap it, sack it. Target angel essentially becomes a platinum angel where you can't lose the game and your opponents can't win the game. And that's very important because I have the card Lich in here, which will make your life total 0. So if you have Faceless Haven with Book of Exalted Deeds, given it that counter, Lich puts your life total to 0 and you will not die. It's very hard to kill someone with this deck. You'll find you'll become the target pretty quickly. And one last thing I want to say about this deck, it's actually kind of funny. I love the show Game of Thrones, so do a lot of my friends. And one thing this deck reminds me of is when Khal Drogo was dying, that one witch that was trying to heal him but was really trying to kill him had a phrase saying, "Only death can pay for life." And that's what I think of every time I play this. I probably say that phrase 20 times every time I play this deck. Now, this next one is called Sultai Looters. Okay, so I saw the card Sinbad, and I looked him up, and he has an interesting rules text. So, Sinbad is a 1 generic, 1 blue creature human, not legendary, although I think it should be. You tap it, draw a card, and reveal it. If it isn't a land, discard it, and it's a 1/1. So, an interesting rules for this is if you would draw a card and a replacement effect is in effect, the secondary effect of the revealing the card no longer applies. So, if you have like Teferi's Ageless Insight, which is a 2 generic, 2 blue legendary enchantment, and it says if you would draw a card except for the first one, you would draw each of your draw steps, draw 2 cards instead. So you have Sinbad out, you tap it, draw a card to reveal a card. But if you have this out, you just draw 2 cards. And there's a few other cards that actually go along with this. You got Jace the Mirror Mage. It's a 1 generic, 2 blue legendary planeswalker. And as kicker 2, and when it enters, if Jace was kicked, you create a token of it. Its loyalty starts at 1. And then you can +1 scry 2. But the most important part is the 0 ability. It's draw a card and reveal it. Remove that number of loyalty counters equal to the CMC of that card. However, you just draw 2 cards if you have a replacement effect like Teferi's Ageless Insight. Now, I'm going to mispronounce this name, so I'm just going to call her Seer. She is the green swap of Sinbad. She's a one colorless, one green creature, human shaman. You tap her, discard a card, or sorry, draw a card, reveal it, and if it is on the land, you discard it. So it's a little different, and it's also a 1/1, but same rules apply. Now, I have looters obviously work with these replacement effects. However, you still have to discard a card. And there's a lot of looters nowadays. So here are two of the best. You got Vohair, Vidalian, Desecrator. It's a one blue, one swamp, legendary creature, Phyrexian Merfolk Wizard. Wow, look at that text, that creature text, that type line. It's the text is so small because there's so much going on there. You tap it, draw a card, discard a card. If you discard it instead of sorcery, your opponents lose life, you gain a life. Uh, and then you pay 2, sack it. You can target an instant or sorcery from your graveyard this turn. If that spell would be put in the graveyard, exile it instead. Activate only as a sorcery, and it's a 1/2. So you tap her, draw 2 cards, discard 1 card. Then you got Likeness Looter. It's 1 blue, 1 black creature, fairy shapeshifter, flying. Tap, draw a card, discard a card. So that's the Looter ability. And then you can pay X. Likeness Looter becomes a copy of target creature in your graveyard with mana value X, except it has flying and this ability activate as a sorcery, and it's a 1/1. So it could kind of become a clone of something you've discarded. You're going to be discarding a lot in this deck. You're going to be drawing, discarding a lot. Now, here's a few more replacement effects for your draws. You got Thought Reflection. It's 4 generic, 3 blue, enchantment. If you would draw a card, draw 2 cards instead. And then you got I can't pronounce that. Almaret's Archive. It's a 5 generic legendary artifact. If you would gain life, you gain twice that much life instead, which does come up a lot in this deck, and we'll talk about it. And then if you would draw a card, except for the first card you draw on your draw step, draw 2 cards instead. Now, speaking of life gain, one thing I kind of focused on this is life gain can actually kind of make or break a game. Just think in your head, how often have you won a game with less than 10 life? So gaining incremental life can just destroy your opponents, because sometimes some people play a game and they just like to build, then alpha strike you. Those people that like to do that, life gain is one of their worst enemies. They're building, and you're gaining until they decide to affect you. Now, here's the commander, Zimone and Dinah. So it's 1 black, 1 green, 1 blue for a legendary creature, human dryad. And whenever you would draw your second card each turn, target opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. There's that life loss, life gain. You can tap it, sack another creature, draw the card. Then you put a land from your hand onto the battlefield tap. And if you control 8 or more lands, repeat this process. Now, another theme of this deck is drawing 2 cards. Like for whenever you draw your second card, there's a lot of cards that do it. A lot of them create tokens that are very useful. You can use those tokens to Zimone and Diana's effect and just gain value, keep gaining value, tap, untap. Speaking of tap and untap, you got a Patriarch Seal here. It's a 3 generic mana artifact. You tap, add 1 mana of any color. Then you can pay 1, tap to untap target legendary creature you control. So this can actually work pretty well with your commander. You can tap, untap, tap, untap. You can put up to 4 lands into play depending on how many lands you have on the field. And this actually fits a lot one of the sub themes, which is the tap untap. So you can pick apart abilities you are focusing on word for word. This if you look at this, is 3 CMC mana rock. Might not be very efficient, especially compared to Soul Ring, but it actually creates synergy, which makes your decks more unique. It makes your decks different from your other decks, so it makes for gameplay more fun. Now, this next deck is called the Big Hands. Okay, you know what they say about guys with big hands? They draw a lot of cards. So I actually saw this guy when I started playing, and I never knew what to do with him. But then I had a standard deck that is almost exactly like this deck when back in Dragon Mazed era, and so I kind of converted it to this deck. So you got Kyramora first to stand. It's a 3 generic, 2 white, legendary creature spirit. Its power and toughness are equal to the number of cards in your hand. And as long as you have 4 more cards in your hand, he has vigilance. And when he deals damage, if you have 7 or more cards in hand, you gain 7 life. And you'll see there's a lot of cards with, if your power and toughness equal to the number of cards in your hand. So, for example, you got Body of Knowledge. It's 3 generic, 2 blue. It's a creature avatar. Body of Knowledge, power, and toughness are a good number of cards in hand, which is amazing. And then you have no maximum hand size, also amazing, but it keeps going for some reason. And it's whenever Body of Knowledge is dealt damage, you draw that many cards. So this is an amazing blocker. This is an amazing attacker. It makes your hand size unlimited, and it gets more powerful the more you draw. So it enables itself. It's an amazing card. Here's another one of my favorites from back in the day. Righteous Authority. It's 3 generic, 1 white, 1 blue. Enchantment Aura. Enchant creature. It gets +1/+1 for each card in your hand. And then it has a Howling Mine effect. You draw an additional card. There's a lot of Howling Mine effects in this deck. That was kind of the theme of my deck back in Dragon's Maze. You have Howling Mine effects that get you bigger hands, more fogs, and just lets you stay alive until you can assemble Maze's End. Maze's End is not in this deck, of course, but the others do apply. So you got Howling Mine. It's 2 generic. You draw an additional card as long as it's untapped at your draw step. And then you got Dictate a Crucifix. This is 1 generic, 2 blue, enchantment, flash. At the beginning of each player's draw step, that player draws an additional card. A lot of Howling Mine effects in here. I want everyone to be drawing. And I mentioned fogs. I know some people hate fogs. Fogs are amazing. They are one of my favorite things to do. Oh, you're going to Alpha Strike me, fog. Oh, you have a Voltron commander coming at me, fog. People argue that removal is just better than fog. And yeah, I totally understand that. You want to be more efficient. You might want to put like Settle the Wreckage instead. But this deck isn't meant to be very competitive. It's more just fun. Try to get the biggest hand you can and just try to survive off of that. So fogs actually have become better and better. No longer is a 1 mana just prevent all damage. Like, look at this. Take the bait. 2 generic, 1 red, 1 white, instant. Cast only during your opponent's turn and only during combat, which is where you'll want to do fog anyway. You prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to you and planeswalkers you control this turn. Untap all attacking creatures and goad them. After this phase, there's an additional combat. So basically, I prevent all damage. Okay. Also, you get an extra combat. Also, you can't attack me. Also, you have to attack your opponents. Just a brutal card for 4 mana. Some people don't want to hold up 4 mana, but you'd hold open mana for Settle the Wreckage. So, I mean, it's just an interesting card. When that card came out, I'm like instant going in this deck. I've had this deck for years, but when I saw that, I was like instant going in. And then you got Orange Chant, one of the OG fogs. It's a 1 white instant, has kicker 1. Target player can't cast spells this turn, and if it's kicked, they can't attack this turn. Not attacking is even better than fogging. You have to predict where your opponent's going to attack, but sometimes it's better so they don't get that attack trigger. And it silences them for the turn. Now, for the commander, I made it the boys here. You got Kanos and Tyro of Melitus. It's 1 red, 1 green, 1 white, 1 blue. So you got a 4-color deck here. It's a legendary creature, human soldier. At the beginning of your end step, draw a card. There's that Howling Mine effect. Each player may put a land card from their hand on the battlefield, and then each opponent who didn't draws a card. So this helps your opponent. And it's a 2/8, so it's a great blocker. And it can be a political card. Your opponents don't want to kill it because they benefit. And now when picking a 4 or 5 color deck, often I focus on 1 or 2 colors, maybe 3, and which really helps with the mana base. So this deck is mainly, it's white and green mainly. Blue is a good secondary color, and red is really not a huge theme. So most of my mana base produces white or green, and then an additional color. So that way you're not often mana screwed. And here's some red cards that benefit that can be game enders. Chandra's Ignition, 3 generic, 2 red, sorcery. Target creature you control deals deals damage equal to its power to each other player and each creature. So you can, if you have a big enough hand, you could one shot everybody with this. Same thing with Gravitate Punch. It's 3 generic, 1 red, sorcery. Target creature you control deals damage equal to the power to target player. It has Jumpstart. So basically, you can discard a card and pay its additional cost. So discard a card, pay 4, and then exile the card. So you can't keep doing it, but it's basically a 2-for-1. And you'll have plenty of cards to discard. And here's that life gain. You know, I throw life gain in every deck I can. Ivory Tower is a 1-mana artifact. At the upkeep phase, you gain 1 life for each card above 4. So if you have 6 cards, you gain 2 life. And it just keeps going. Then you got Venture's Journal. It's 5-mana artifact. You know, have no maximum hand size. And at the beginning of upkeep, gain 1 life for each card in your hand. These are amazing cards. Life gain, like I said, a lot of my group just alpha strikes. This stops them. And moving on to the last deck here. Now, this deck is kind of interesting. So I loved Ikoria. I thought the partner with ability is really cool. Now, people use the partner with ability often to have 2 commanders, and that's totally cool. I used it so I put all the partner with cards in a deck. That way, like let's say I play Halden, I can go get Paco. And what this really reminds me of is Pokemon. You got a trainer who has a weird animal hybrid. Paco could totally be a Pokemon. So you got Halden, Avid Arcanist. It's a 2 generic, 1 blue, legendary creature, human wizard. It partners with Paco, and then you may play non-creature cards from exile with fetch counters on them if you exile them, and you may spend mana as though are any color, and then Paco. It's a 3-mana generic, 1 red, 1 green, legendary creature, elemental hound, as haste. And when it attacks, exile the top card of each player's library and put a fetch counter. It gets +1/+1 for each non-creature exiled this way. Now, the abilities really don't matter outside the partner with ability. Of course, every partner with pair has synergy. They don't all synergize with each other pair, but they synergize with themselves. This is a 5-color deck. And when I was thinking, all these partner withs are legendary. So you can choose a lot of different 5-color legendary themed cards. I put Joda the Unifier because he's such a good finisher. He's Wooburg to cast. He's a legendary creature, human wizard. Legendary creatures you control get ++X, where X is the number of legendary creatures you control. That's the finishing type. That can easily get people, give them my board +3, +4, +5, and you're swinging out for game. But the best part of this is the last ability. When you cast a legendary spell from your hand, exile cards from the top of your library until you get a legendary non-land card with lesser mana value, and you may cast that without paying its mana cost, and then put the rest on the bottom. So let's say you get Halden out, you cast Halden, triggers Joda, gets you another card, probably a partner with card. Both those enter, then you go search for both the partner with. So you're basically one spell got you 3 extra cards. So it's a huge advantage card wise. Now, so one of the focus spotlight here says when building, I try to do 2-for-1 strategy. This was obviously in this example a 4-for-1. This allows you to break even, but 3-for-1 is even better. This deck best represents that. Play a partner with commander with Joda out. And like I said, you're just going to be getting it. And then there's other cards that trigger. Like, for example, you got Jaiora Weatherlight Captain here. 2 generic, 1 blue, 1 red. Legendary creature, human artificer. When you cast a historic spell, draw the card. So if you have this and Joda out, 1 spell gets you 4 others. So that's a 5-for-1 right there. It's a 3/3. You have Riki, the History of Kamigawa. 2 generic, 1 forest, legendary creature, human shaman. Whenever you play a legendary spell, draw a card. It's a 1/2. Same thing. you're 3 for 1, you're 4 for 1, you're 5 for 1. And so even if you don't get Joda out, Joda is a huge target. People knock that guy out pretty fast. I might switch him, but it's just such great value. Here's some more examples. You got Silverback Elder, 2 generic, 3 green, creature, Ape Shaman. Whenever you cast a spell, choose one. You can destroy an artifact and enchantment. You can look at the top 5 cards of your library. You put a land from among them on the battlefield tapped, put the rest on the bottom, or you gain 4 life. And the Kadama of the East Tree, you got it's a 4 generic, 2 green, legendary creature spirit, reach, and when a permanent comes in the battlefield, if it wasn't put from this ability, you can put a permanent with equal or lesser value. So if you play a 4 mana creature, you can put a 3 mana from your hand for free. And that's what this deck is. And another sub theme is reducing the cost of stuff. So Animar, Soul of Elements does this great. 1 blue, 1 red, 1 green, legendary creature and elemental. It's protection from white and black. And whenever you cast a creature spell, you put a +1/+1 counter on it, and each creature spell you cast costs 1 less. And it's a 1/1. So you're basically wanting to spam out stuff as much as possible, reduce its cost so you can spam more. It's almost like Storm without the Storm ability. You got Naila, Keen-Eyed. It's a 3 generic, 1 forest. Legendary enchantment creature god. Indestructible. Isn't a creature unless your devotion's 5. Creature spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. And it has an activated ability, 2 generic, 1 forest. Reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, put it into your hand. Otherwise, put it into your graveyard. Lots of abilities that do that here. And now the partner with, just looking at them, always brings me kind of with joy. They're always so fun. Here's just some examples you can read. But my question to you is, which one do you like best? Like, for me, I'm a huge Paco Halden fan. I'm a huge dog fan. I have a dog. But the Sky Shark and the Sky Shark Rider, you can't beat that either. I mean, they're just so good. And now, so one thing I will say, and I stress this all the time to people, is win cons are obviously important. However, when the chips are down, 4th board wipe has happened, what card do you want to top deck? 9 out of 10 times, you want mass recursion. That's why I don't use a lot of exile. I hate exiling my own graveyard. That's just getting rid of my own resources. I try to put recursion in every single deck. One of the best recursions for this deck, since there's so many legendary cards, is Primeval's Glorious Rebirth. It's 5 generic, 1 white, 1 black, legendary sorcery. You can only cast it if you have a legendary creature or planeswalker. Return all legendary permanents cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. So it's a one-sided. So it's better than Limb and Death in some occasions. And I have a few others in this deck, but this is one I just wanted to spotlight. Mass recursion, huge. Life gain, huge. You need to add some of these to your deck if you haven't already. Now, those were 5 decks that I have. I love these decks. They're always fun to break out, and they're just unique ways to go about it. Do you have any of these decks? If you do, comment below. Let me know. Did you do a similar theme and just pick different colors? You pick different commander? I always want to hear it. One of the reasons I'm making this channel is because I love hearing other people's decks. I love helping people with decks, and I love to use other people's decks to improve my own knowledge. That's what makes Magic such a great community. We're always helping each other. We're always building off each other, and hopefully at the very end, we'll all be better for it. So if you've made it this long, what's this, like 39-minute video? I appreciate it. This was my first video. I appreciate your time. If you liked it, do comment below, maybe subscribe, maybe like it. They say that helps the YouTube algorithm. I'm new. I don't know how any of this works. But if you liked it, just go ahead, comment below. I appreciate your time so much. It means the world to me. And have a good day.